everyone. I'm Alex Higgins, and I'm the Director of Membership for the Parks Conservancy. Thank you to the many members who are joining us today. The Parks Conservancy depends on your contributions to keep our parklands open to all. We are so excited to be joined by some special guests from the Crissy Field Center today. Before I welcome them in, I would like to read our land acknowledgement. Leilani, could you share your screen? Our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples, who are the original inhabitants of this land, where they continue to work, live, play, raise their families, and fight for their sacred sites. Our Indigenous brothers and sisters are our past, present, and future. Today's event is a panel discussion with a moderated Q&A. We'll save time for audience questions at the end of the presentation, so please add your questions to the Q&A section of Zoom. We'll also be recording this presentation and we'll send out the recording following the event. I am pleased to introduce our moderators for the event, Amy and Sebastian.
Hi everyone, my name is Amy. I go by they and she pronouns. I grew up with a Chinese Vietnamese immigrant parents, growing up in Oakland, and most of my nature connections, I remember going to the parks and having barbecue. But it wasn't until I was 18 that I went on a backpacking trip and remembered how, was exposed to how much nature and wilderness there was around me. And ever since then, I've spent 8 years working with young people as an environmental educator. And so right now I work at the Crissy Field Center as the education programs coordinator and working to uplift young voices, especially with marginalized backgrounds, to be leaders in their own lives and then environment and in their communities. As to go by they and she pronouns, and I'm really excited to be co-moderating this with Sebastian, one of our bold leaders in the parks. So I'll pass it off to Sebastian.
Thank you, Amy. Hello, everyone. My name is Sebastian. People at the center know me as Sebas, and my pronouns are he, him, his. I am a current high school student in San Francisco, and I've been affiliated with the Crissy Field Center for about 5 years now. Ooh, it's coming to me. I've started off in UTB, our middle school program, and I've since aged up in the IL program, which we're highlighting today. And I've been, over my years at the center, I've basically been focusing on design, being creative, designing curriculum, designing arts for the community. And some of my interest with the parks is definitely the camping, backpacking, and hiking experiences that we offer in the parks and also in the national parks all around. And I'm just really excited to be here today with you all. So I'll pass it back on to Amy to introduce the Crissy Field Center.
Thanks, Sebastian. So the Crissy Field Center is a dynamic hub of youth engagement for the Golden Gate National Parks. And we have a variety of programs that all really encourage new generations of youth to become bold leaders for thriving parks, healthy communities, and a more environmentally just society. We just celebrated our 20-year anniversary, which is really exciting. And next on our slide. If I were to describe the Crissy Field Center with values, these are our top 10. These are hot off the press with our redesign of the new Crissy Field Center as we transition to the Tunnel Tops. Here were the 10 top values of ours. It is community empowerment, so working towards building leadership in our community, and we also have diversity and multiculturalism, making sure that we have a diverse leaders, and to build empathy and inclusion. So to go beyond diversity is really to make sure that people feel welcomed in this space. Openness to feedback, to growth, and most importantly, youth-centered. We're a youth center, so making sure youth voices are always at the table. Our values are also to learn and grow together, to have fun. Our summer programs are awesome, and we're really excited to continue having fun this summer. Safety is also our responsibility, so both physical safety as well as emotional safety, and then justice and equity. So these are our top values. Next slide, please. And here's a variety of our programs. We have, these are just a few of them, but right now we're focusing on our middle school and high school programs, including Project WISE, Inspiring Young Emerging Leaders, also known as IEL, and Urban Trailblazers, also known as UTB. Thanks. So Project WISE is our watershed inspiring student education, and we partner with AP Environmental Science classes in San Francisco, and we do their field studies components. So we take students on field trips outside doing water quality testing, data collection of sand crabs or stream invertebrates, and then do some data analyzing to see if the community is healthy. And these students end up taking these skills that they learn through this year-long program and then build projects that's relevant to their own community, assessing their own community health, whether that's through environmental or social justice. And now I'll pass it to Sebastian to talk about IEL and UTB.
Thank you. So with IEL, which is the program we'll be highlighting today, it stands for Inspiring Young Emerging Leaders. And it is a high school internship for high schoolers in San Francisco to participate in. It focuses on building up leadership skills as well as community, and we focus a lot on social and environmental justice works. Some things that we do, we'll partner with other youth organizations or internships and do restoration projects, and we'll also discuss, I guess, current topics and just find ways that we can help the community and bring people together. That might be through art, that might be through events like camping. So we're just here to build up our leadership skills and hopefully go back into the parks and apply that in our lives. And with UTB, Urban Trailblazers, it is a middle school program. I like to think of it as a baby IL. It's for middle schoolers in San Francisco to participate in over the summer, and a select few get to participate over the school year. It's led by high schoolers like myself, and we basically take middle schoolers into the parks. Some of them may have never known the Presidio existed before. Some of them might not be too keen to be going into their local parks. And it's really important for us to be able to bring them into our natural spaces and create community with them. And the goal with them is for them to hopefully build up into our parks programs like IEL, which is really, really exciting to see. And we'll be highlighting that today as well. Can we go to the next slide, please? So with the new Crissy Field Center, which is actually the old Crissy Field Center at the moment, it's under construction, being constructed at Mason Street. Right now it's being known as the Tunnel Tops project. And right here, you're seeing a youth gathering space. This space will be used to host workshops, host lessons, and just create community. Right now, IEL has been doing Zoom workshops with other programs and other groups of people, and it'll be really nice to apply these workshops in person in this new space. Next slide. Right here, you're seeing a science lab. Right now, at the Crissy Field Center that we have right now, we have a science and art lab, and right here, you're seeing the new and improved science lab. There will be tools for youth from our internships as well as youth from the community to come in and explore their parks right here in this lab. There will also be an art lab in conjunction with this to promote creativity, and we'll just have a lot of tools for everyone to use, including our community around us. And I'll have Amy introduce our panelists for today.
Thanks for sharing our new center that I'm really excited to be in starting next year. So I'm really excited to introduce our panelists. I've worked with all of them in a variety of capacity. The first one is Hilda Ramirez. who is a IEL alumni and also the high school program manager who runs IEL right now. We also have Frank Lee, who is a current IEL intern who's been a part of IEL for 2.5 years and is a senior in high school right now. We also have Kaya, who is also an IEL intern. She also finished UTB and transitioned into IEL, so have been a part of the parks for at least 3 years. And then we also have Ranger MJ, or Ranger Maria Jose, who's the Community Programs and Outreach Ranger, and works for National Park Service. So now I'm going to pass it on to Hilder, who's going to do a little bit more introduction to himself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Hilda. I go by he, him, el pronouns. And I'm going to try to run through this really quickly. I'm a son of the Mission District. I was born and raised here in San Francisco. And I was raised in the 90s, as you can see in the next picture of me as a kid. We go to the next slide, Leilani. So yeah, I just want to say really quick, I grew up in spaces that felt very confident because of the people around me, the community around me. And I think that's something that we try to do a lot in the work that we do there at the Crissy Field Center. And then can you go to the next slide? So then I joined as a high schooler, I joined the IEL program where they were teaching me a lot of leadership skills and teaching me how to feel more comfortable in the national parks. That's us in the Grand Canyon. And then can you skip to the last slide? And then, yeah, I'm really excited that I get to come back and I get to be a part of the program that I grew up with to teach the next generation just those confidence skills. What's really exciting is that we're going to be ushering a new program in called the Youth Adventure Guides. And I know when we go to parks, sometimes it's usually like older folks or older rangers that are kind of welcoming you to the parks, and the dream of just young people being able to welcome new generations, old generations into the park. That's what the Youth Adventure Guides is all about. So I'm excited to talk a little bit more about that and excited to be here. So thank you all. My bad, I was supposed to pass it over to Frank Lee. Frank Lee.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Frank Lee. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm a senior at Independence High School. And as Amy mentioned, I've been with the Crissy Field Center in the IEL program for 2.5 years now. And yeah, I'm very happy I got the opportunity to be with them. And yeah, I'm very excited to be here today. Next slide, please. Yeah, so being with IEL has definitely gave me the opportunity to explore new places and has helped me appreciate nature more. In the past, we've done a winter trip, which I enjoyed. It was one of my first times experiencing snow and skiing, which was pretty fun and exciting. Next slide, please. Yeah, I love to learn, and I'm always excited to try new things. In the past, I've done gardening. I've done a little bit of pottery. I like trying new foods. Recently, I've tried red velvet pancakes. I didn't know what to expect from it, but my first time trying it was a good time. And you know, next slide. Yeah, currently I'm very happy where I'm at, and as I said, I'm very thankful I'm still with the Crissy Field Center and the IEL program because they're it's a big part of my growth, and I'm thankful for everything they've done for me. And now I'll pass it on to Kaya.
Hello, my name is Kaya. I'm currently a sophomore at Lowell High School, and I've been with the parks for about 2 years. I started off with UTB, like Amy said, and then I aged up into IL. Next slide, please. In UTB, I was really able to step out of my comfort zone more and be more comfortable doing things that I would have never really thought to do otherwise. And then when I went into IL, next slide, please. I was able to improve my confidence a lot more. So now I'm like really comfortable talking to new people and yeah, kind of just overall more confident with things. Next slide. So yeah, I'm very proud of how much I've grown, and I'm really thankful for the programs that I've been in and everyone I've met and all of my teammates I've had in them. And now I'll pass it to Ranger Maria Jose.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be part of this panel. My name is Ranger Maria Jose Alcantara, and I am a park ranger with the Community Programs and Outreach team, part of the Interpretive Division here at GGNRA. And I feel like I have been part of this greater national park for what feels like my whole life. I started out back in the IL program as well. And I'm so excited that I get to continue this through this partnership. Can we go to the next slide, please? So as really cute, embarrassing photos, I am a city girl at home in the national park. So I was born and raised in San Francisco, California, and I was born to immigrant parents. My parents are from El Salvador, and I grew up in the Sunset District and the Mission District. And it wasn't until my parents took me camping and they took me to the nature that I felt right at home. And even though I was growing up in an apartment building in San Francisco, and I had to go in city buses across the city just to go to school, it was still very special on the weekends when my family could take me to the national park lands that I had no idea were even part of the national parks at that time. But it wasn't until I started getting involved in youth programs throughout my life that I really realized that my love for nature and parks and being inspired by other people is what really drew me to consider a career in this. Can we go to the next slide, please?
Ranger MJ,
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to give you a heads up that I think we lost your volume at this slide. If you wanted to double check that.
Oh, I'm sorry if you're having trouble hearing me. Sometimes my internet is really low, but we can move on to the next slide. So as I said, I became part of the Inspiring Young Emerging Leaders group back in 9th grade. So it wasn't until 8th grade that I heard about this program. So I was actually in a middle school youth program with part of the San Francisco Conservation Corps. And I had some friends who knew some interns who were in IL at the time. So this was back in 2003. So I was invited to go to this big project. It was a big celebration and play that there were IL students who were going to present about environmental justice. And I had no idea what that meant, but I was excited to go and learn more about that because you see, before I knew what career I wanted to pull into, I had a dream of being a star, whether it was a pop star, a theater star, a TV star. But I was so motivated high school interns who were so passionate about the environmental justice and the event that they were throwing. So I was like, I have to be a part of this program. I must be an intern in this park as well. So I signed up to become an intern, and ever since 9th grade, I totally changed my life here on in this internship. So I was so excited to grow as a leader, even though at home and with friends, I was very outgoing and very quirky and peppy all the time. When I was in a group setting, I was very shy. So through this program, I was able to grow as a leader and learn how to lead work, the fancy people, get to meet different rangers along the way, and they inspired me to consider myself in the parks in long term. So we can go to the next slide, please. So it wasn't until that last year of high school where everyone's asking, what are you going to do next? What college are you going to go to? What's going to happen? And we took this amazing road trip, and Hilder actually mentioned a little bit about it. We went to the Grand Canyon, and I met another ranger there who was telling me how he loved his job. And I was like, this is so cool. I think I could totally do this. I would love to become a park ranger. And he remembered that. So once I was getting ready to graduate high school, they contacted our mentors at IL and they asked, hey, do you still have those interns who were interested in becoming park rangers? And sure enough, they called me, and I was able to start straight out of high school my career with the National Park Service. So I became an intern to a ranger, and now my job is to be a mentor and to invite people to their national parks. I am able to invite communities of color and communities from all over the Bay Area to go and find their home and feel welcome in their national park sites, because we really do value community in this park. And it was because of that community that I found through this internship and in this park that I was inspired to consider this career in this very park. And I'm so excited that I've been able to create a career out of this after all these years. But yes, I'm so grateful for these programs, and I'm so excited to see what the future of the parks has in store for our youth of today. So thank you, and I believe I'm passing it back to Amy.
Okay, actually it's gonna be me. So we're gonna head into our Q&A for our panelists. And if we can stop sharing screen, thank you so much. So my first question to the panelists, if you all can all turn on your video, is what is special about CFC programs? How are they unique, and how are they different from school? I'm gonna pass that question to Kaya first.
Yeah, so for me, the Crissy Field Center programs have been really unique and special because they're just so supportive, and like you can be yourself all the time, right? Like nobody's judging you for anything. It's just a very great community. And also we talk about like current events more because in schools they don't really talk about things like Black Lives Matter or like Asian hate or anything. So it's nice that we have a space to do that.
Definitely, I think that with IL, the culture, we've just built such a tight-knit community and such a nice group where we feel comfortable talking about these things, whereas maybe in school, right now, it's just not as accessible with being on Zoom and not knowing your teachers as well. So thank you for that, Kaya. Frankly, I know you're a senior in high school. Would you like to maybe add on to that to talk about maybe how it is also different from school or how CFC is unique?
Yeah, it's definitely very different. As Kaya mentioned, I feel like at the Crissy Field Center, we get to talk about, we learn what we want to learn, not like school where it's just forced, and sometimes like we don't find interest in that, and it's very, very difficult to learn. But yeah, definitely the community at the Crissy Field Center it's very bright. It has good energy, and I've gotten to know people pretty well. I consider it as a second family, and yeah, I'm just happy being there. School can be very stressful, overwhelming, but then once I'm in the space, it's just all that goes away, and then just it puts me in a good mood just being there. Yeah, and
Definitely.
yeah.
You can continue. Okay, sorry for that. I definitely agree with that. I think that IL has built us up as leaders so that we're building our own curriculum, we're applying our own interest and in the curriculum that we're making for us. And I've definitely done that, and I've seen you do that as well. Hilder, would you like to discuss why CFC is unique?
Yes. So yeah, I have a lot of feelings for the Crissy Field Center just because that's a place where I kind of grew up as well. And I know I'm seeing the next generation, the next young people kind of grow up in there. But I've heard a lot that the national parks are like the backyard, or come to your national park is like your backyard. So I like to think of the Crissy Field Center as then it's your home. It's where you come in, and you start feeling comfortable there. And we lead activities where we're practicing leadership skills, and we practice for y'all to treat that place like it's your home. We want y'all to grow confident in there, and so if these signs make you feel comfortable, we want to have that. If this music makes you feel comfortable, we want to have that. And then to be able to use the national parks then, or your backyard as an extension of that place is super powerful. And so whether we're doing events, whether we're having fun, whether we're serving the community, it starts off at the Crissy Field Center first, and then we do our thing, and then we get out there and we try to support a community. So I'm really proud to be a part of that community. I'm proud of the young people that go through there, because we get really great young people and great community members out of it. Whether people come back to do what me and Ranger MJ do, which is work in the parks, or whether they just grow up to be just really great positive community members, that's what the Crissy Field Center is contributing to. And so that's what's really special about the community that we have there.
Thank you for that. I think that all of those points that you're saying will definitely apply to the new Tunnel Tops project, which is really exciting. I know Ranger MJ may have had some technical difficulties just a second ago. I don't know if you're still there. MJ, if you can confirm. Okay, so it seems that Ranger MJ is having some technical difficulties. Maybe if you can type your answers in the chat, I can eventually read them out loud, but for now I'm gonna pass it on to Amy to ask the next question. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks, Sebas. This next question is maybe one of my favorite questions. What were some of your first formative nature moments growing up? And this may be small, it may be big, like a transformative outdoor experience. It may just be as small as like family barbecues or catching insects growing up. I'm curious to hear from you all, maybe what were your first nature connection moments? I'm gonna pass it to Frankly if you want to share your first nature moments.
Yeah, growing up, I didn't really get to experience much of nature. I remember like my dad, he would go fishing pretty often. That would be his thing. And I wasn't really into it just because I didn't love like waking up in the morning. I didn't love the process of the preparation and all of that. But yeah, just ever since I've joined the Crissy Field Center, I've, as I mentioned before, I've learned to appreciate nature more just because we've done hikes, we've gone camping, and yeah, it's just once I'm in the space, it's just like that fresh air feels nice. And I remember I've tried Yosemite water. It's pretty good. Um when it gets night and you look at the stars, it's very beautiful. And yeah, now I feel like I'm more outgoing. I wanna be more connected to nature. And now that like I've grown, I see things very differently. I actually wanna learn how to fish. I hope I get that experience. I hope I get to experience that again. And yeah, it's something I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, and I don't know, it's very interesting how as a little kid, you may not like something or you may not understand some things, but then once you're older, you see the bigger picture. Yeah, and I've definitely seen it now, and I'm looking forward to a lot of things.
Thanks for sharing that, Frankly. Yeah, it's interesting how our perspectives of things shift over time. And the fresh air and the starry skies. Yes, to those first camping experiences. I know that I didn't really camp until I was 18, so all of you all are are way more experienced than I was at that time, and remember seeing the starry nights for the first time when you're not in the city is magical. Thanks for sharing that, Frankly. How about you, Kaya? What were your first formative nature moments?
When I was younger, I spent a lot of time in nature. I kind of vaguely remember we used to go on an annual camping trip, my family and our family friends, and that I think the first time I went was when I was probably like 4 or 5 years old. So I have like had a lot of camping experience. Um, but then over time we ended up stopping those camping trips, I think because of like drama or something. So then we couldn't do that anymore, and then just sort of overall stopped spending so much time in nature. So then when I heard about the Crissy Field Center and their programs, I was really excited to get back because I really wanted that nature experience again.
Thank you, Kaya. As someone who is also from a big family, I know about that family drama, but I'm glad that you are still able to go camping with us. And this summer we're planning some camping trips, so I'm excited for you to be joining us there. Hilder, I heard you also have some annual family camping experiences. You want to share on that piece?
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I've been camping. This is my mom's like favorite thing to brag about. I took you camping when you were 40 days old. So I've been camping for a long time. But even just like finding nature was so far for us. Like for those of you familiar with the area, we used to go to the Russian River a lot up north. So it's quite a drive to do that. And it's beautiful because like we go there, we camp. We did it like whenever there was a 3-day weekend or whenever or summer hit, you know, it was a family thing, and my family works so hard. And so whenever we were there, it was time to kind of like calm down. I don't know if that's why I'm working in the nature or in the park field, but I think that definitely allowed me to see how it can be utilized, why it is fun to be outside. I think once I started to understand that it was a resource for you. You know, sometimes the national park signs, like even how big they can be kind of overwhelming. Whenever there's like a toll, even just going into Yosemite, when you have to go in and you have to make a stop and you have to pay, that can be kind of overwhelming for families, or maybe not understanding like if everyone's invited, if it's okay to go in there. And so for me, learning about that in high school and just saying, oh, this is a resource for us that we can come use it, whether we want to use it loudly for carne asadas or like listening to music, or whether we want to use it to calm down, to let our heart beat rest a little bit more. And that's something that's kind of like an acquired taste, I guess. So the more you do it, I think the more comfortable I felt in it. So I think that's where where nature really started kind of playing a role, is where I could see how it could be utilized in a lot of different ways. And there is no right or wrong way to use the outdoors in that way. It doesn't just have to be quiet or just like running or biking. You could use it as loudly or as quietly as you'd like to.
Yes. Yeah. The way that we experience nature and the outdoors can look so different to a variety of folks, and there is no right way. Really appreciate you touching on how it's also shaped how your interest in your role here too. So Ranger MJ, I'm curious, I know that you mentioned in your bio your first formative nature moments. Do you want to maybe elaborate on how it has shaped your interest in being a ranger with the National Park Service?
Yes, of course. And my internet is being cool with me right now, so I'll take advantage of that. Thank you for your
We can
patience.
hear you.
I'm coming in clear. So yes, my parents they had different experiences back in El Salvador, but my dad, he was from the countryside, and my mom was a city girl. But her experiences growing up were memories of my grandmother taking her out to the countryside and going out to natural spaces and going to the beach and going to the ocean. So that is exactly the kind of experiences that they provided for me. So I have pictures of me as a little baby camping, learning to walk in a redwood forest and learning to wade in the water at like Lake Isabella with my dad. So I have those memories and I have those photos that they share with me. But it was also like I've always been a very girly girl and I don't like dirt. I have like but it was through all these programs and through connecting with the people there that I felt more comfortable there. So even though I had that childhood in the parks, getting dirty in the sand, in the water, those formative years are very like, I don't know if I like this, I don't know if I like that. And it was learning to trust in my team and learning to trust in the people and my mentors there, and feeling comfortable in those backpacking trips away from home, feeling comfortable making bonds over a campfire with the other interns, or at a snow trip, falling all together down a hill and getting to have that kind of memorable experience and laugh about it later, even though it hurt.
Oh no, Ranger MJ, I think we lost your last words.
Yeah, those fun memories are what's most memorable about that. And getting to see people experience that for the first time as a ranger is one of the best things too, bringing new people to the park who maybe they have only grown in an apartment building, kind of like I did growing up in the city, and getting to see their first reaction of seeing the ocean for the first time, getting to see their reaction, even if it's newcomer families from, like I have an example, we took a group of families to Muir Woods, and the kids were so excited to see a forest for the first time, but the elders were like, this reminds me of my home in Guatemala, in Nicaragua, and El Salvador. So those kind of experiences and seeing that kind of moment where it's just like, those are the highlights for me.
Thank you for sharing that. I vividly remember my first like aha and that spark when I backpacked for the first time and seeing alpine lakes and then feeling welcomed by my leaders and building that that trust and that feeling that I could do it, that resilience of, you know, putting on a giant pack and be like, oh, I can actually hike 5 miles with a 40-pound backpack, and like there's nothing like that transformative experience that has also helped me want to lead first time experiences for folks. So yeah, we for IEL, I know we're planning a backpacking trip that might be some of our IELers first time, so I'm really excited to continue sharing that with folks. All right, I'm going to pass it to Seabass for our next question.
Thank you. So for my next question, it is, how did your first CFC program motivate you to continue with the parks and scaffold in additional leadership opportunities? And how has the CFC youth programs shaped your goals for the future, frankly?
So yeah, being with IEL was it was the very first program I attended. I remember at the beginning, I kind of felt nervous. Part of me didn't want to join. It was more because of me being nervous and being a shy person, not being as outgoing as I am now. But yeah, once I was in the space, it was very welcoming and friendly, and I just felt very safe and comfortable. And after 1 year of being there, I saw how much I grew as a person, and I felt good being in that space. And that motivated me to coming back a second year, in which I became a step 2. I took on more roles, more responsibilities, and I felt like I was part of something. And that made me, again, I felt really, really good about myself. And ever since then, I've just been with them. I've definitely seen my confidence go up. Like any opportunity I have, I make the most of it. Like I don't know. Just because I know whatever, I've been offered opportunities to like lead certain things and I know that will help me grow, even though it could be very nerve-wracking sometimes. At the end of the day, it's just like I did it and I'm very happy with what I did. And yeah, I'm just very happy I'm still here with the IL program.
That's amazing. And I'm also glad you're here with us because we started together and now we're here, which is really, really amazing.
I'm not done, sorry. But
I'm so sorry.
No worries, no worries. And you know, as a young man, it has definitely prepared me, and I'm very excited for the next step in life I take. I feel very, very prepared. I feel very confident and happy with myself. And yeah, and it's thanks to this program. I'm really thankful.
Definitely. I know we've talked about IL and we've mentioned UTB briefly. Kaya, would you like to share your experience in UTB and how that scaffolded you to join IL?
Yeah, so UTB was my first program in the parks. I joined it pretty late because it's a middle school program, so it's 6th to 8th grade, and I did not hear about it until 8th grade. But and I didn't know this in the moment, but I grew so much in that program. Like even I remember the blaze out when when I was awarded the Spark to Flame Award, which is kind of like, I guess, for most growth. I don't know why, but I was like the last person I expected to get that. I really like I couldn't tell that I'd grown that much. But then afterwards, I was like, oh my God, I've changed so much Like, same with Frankly, I used to be so shy. Like, I would just never talk to anybody. But now I'm a lot more outgoing and I don't have that much of a problem like really talking to people. So then also going into IL, I was recommended a little bit by my staff in UTB for the program. And I did also kind of see it as like a challenge because it would give me more leadership opportunities. And so I was like really convinced to join that because I wanted to see like how much more I could grow as a person. I also did have a lot of fun in UTB, and I didn't want to leave the Crissy Field Center because, like I said earlier, it's just such a great community and a very welcoming space.
Thank you for that. I know I was able to work closely with your group over the summer when you were a Blazer, and it was always a privilege to work with you. Hilder, I know we've talked about these 2 youth programs. Would you like to talk about the process of outreach, getting youth into the parks, getting youth into these programs? I also know that's a question in the Q&A, so it'd be really nice to cover it.
Yes, I'd be happy to. Yeah, just want to say I'm super thankful for what was said. Like my heart feels full right now just from listening to y'all speak about the programs that that are happening at the Crissy Field Center. The way that we go out and outreach, you know, it's not the easiest place to get to. The Presidio and the Crissy Field Center. You know, I went to Leadership High School just to get from that school all the way to the Crissy Field Center. It took an hour and a half on bus, and that's an hour and a half back. So that's a 3-hour trip. A lot of homework was done on those bus rides, but it's outreaching to places where we don't normally get to reach to are the further ones. I think that's really important. I think the people that have the most access to parks are the ones that live really close to them. But I think it's a lot harder when there's barriers like transportation or just the distance from it, just to know that. And so, yeah, we really try our best to go to the southeast side of the city. We try to outreach to a lot of Black and Brown youth and schools that have populations of a lot of Black and Brown youth, because those are also the youth that we're not seeing in the parks, or the people that we're not seeing in our parks, that we want to make sure that we are doing our part with going to those schools and saying, hey, this is an opportunity for y'all to be able to come out here. If you trust us, you know, we're going to have a program like for you. These are the kind of experiences that you're going to have. And these are the kind of opportunities that you can have. And so I'm super thankful. I think we should be doing more than the outreach that we're doing. We need to be doing more for transportation, just because it's so hard to get there, to get to the park. So yeah, I'm committed into whatever it takes to making the parks feel more welcome. And I know our young people too are very committed into that, and they're so good at it. They're culture builders. They are masters at welcoming people, and they're so open, a lot more open than adults, for real. That is fact. So if the future of the parks is young people welcoming, it's young people ran, it's going to be a very, very welcoming and open space. So we're going to see communities that we've never seen before.
Definitely. And also, once again, bringing it back to the tunnel tops, we're creating a space for the community to come into our parks, and like having it's just gonna be a really amazing place for all youth of all ages and all colors to just come and congregate and create community. So thank you for that. Ranger MJ, I know you were in IL, you were talking about that earlier, and also coming back as a ranger for our National Park Service. What drew you back to come back to the parks?
Yeah, so I actually was so transformed that first 9th grade of IL that I just fell in love. It was like my family, it was like my life, you know. And I actually moved away after that first year. I moved to Fairfield, California, more than an hour away. And it was a really hard time because, you know, moving is hard for everybody, but during that summer of transition, it was such an exciting summer because it was the very first year that Urban Trailblazers started. And I was one of the high school intern leaders of Urban Trailblazers. And it was so much fun to be with the middle schoolers and take them backpacking and be able to mentor them during that summer. while preparing for my quinceañera and practicing dances and packing my apartment after IL and after Urban Trailblazers and after all of that. But that whole year of 10th grade that I wasn't part of the IL program, I just felt like something was missing. And I tried to come back to all the possible activities. So I came to support, like always, to their big events and presentations, but I made the huge decisions. So when I entered 11th grade, I was like, I'm coming back. I'm going to ride a ferry boat. I'm going to be part of this. I'm going to ask somebody for a ride. I'm going to ride my bike from Embarcadero because I got off the ferry boat with my bike, and I'm going to bike to Crissy Field. And it took a lot of commitment to come back because I wanted to be part of this so badly. And being back was what I needed to be able to prepare myself to go to college, to prepare myself to consider like what careers even are, because I was still in that, like, I want to be a pop star mode. I don't know what I want to do in life. And it gave me that opportunity to meet more rangers along the way and be inspired by people like Ranger Fatima Colindres, who is a master storyteller and loves to interpret the park's history and culture with so much passion. And just meeting those people along the way and seeing myself reflected in them, and seeing myself like, okay, I could do this. I could do this. So I was so grateful, and I'm so grateful, and I'm so lucky that I was able to become a park ranger straight out of high school because of my internship experience. And then, come back home after a summer in Grand Canyon National Park, working as a park ranger and being invited back by this park, my home park, like, hey, we have ranger positions available here in your home park. Would you like to apply? I was like, yeah. So being able to be a part of that and keep welcoming people and working with IL through the years, and being able to chaperone when I could, being able to co-lead and be part of supporting the youth programs and partnerships, that has been a huge highlight. And I will always be grateful for all those IL years and being part of this first year of UTB as well.
Thank you for that, Ranger MJ. I know I've been able to work with you before, and it's always just been a really wonderful experience. And if we think about it, you and Hilda are really kind of the blueprint of what the Crissy Field Center is today. And that drive that you're talking about, coming back to the center every single day, I feel like that excels what the program is now. And you guys have basically defined what our park programs are meant to do. So thank you for that. It also seems that is our last question for this panel today, and we're going into our, I believe, Q&A for everyone else. Alex?
Hi, Alex Higgins again. So we have some questions that have come up in our Q&A. So the first question is, so we've heard what keeps you at the center and in IL, but can you talk a little bit about how you came to join Urban Trailblazers in the first place? Did you find the program on the own? Did your parent or guardian kind of introduce you to it? Or did you hear about it from your friends? And I can direct that maybe to Kaya or Frankly.
Kaya.
Well, personally, like, I didn't get to experience UTB. I went straight to IL. Pretty much, it was like any other day at school. I was just walking through the hallways. Hilda and Lolly were there, and it went by so fast. I remember I just filled out an application. The next couple of days, I got a call from Lolly saying to have an interview, and then I went to the interview, and yeah, it just happened so fast. But my first year was great, and I definitely enjoyed it.
What about you, Kaya?
Yeah, so I was able to experience UTB. I heard about it from my friend. She went, I think, in her 7th grade year, and then she came back and she kept telling me about like all the fun she had. So then I decided to apply, and yeah, I absolutely do not regret it. That was probably one of the best summers of my life.
Staying with you, Kaya, can you talk a little bit about how maybe the program has sort of changed your plans for the future, or how it has affected your plans for the future?
I don't really have any like specific plans for the future, but I was kind of really like not knowing what I wanted to do after high school. So this has kind of opened me up to like possibly joining a career within the parks or the conservancy.
Great. So one more question, it's a fun one. Can you say what's your favorite park? And that could be in the GGNRA or across the US. Kaya or Frankly or Hilder or MJ.
It's such a hard one, but I guess I could pick my most favoriteest GGNRA park site will have to be the Marin Headlands. And it just feels like you're so far away, but you're just across the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's always full of so much wildlife, and just it's a place to go heal. It's a place to go and find peace. It's a place to go hang out and have fun and just go a little wacky on the beach or go learn about history and all kinds of things. So I'm also kind of biased because I was so lucky to live there during my early years of my career at the historic barracks. So that was also really fun too.
That's awesome. That's incredible. Such a cool opportunity. Anyone else want to share a favorite park?
It's not a national park, but this park means a lot to me. Crocker Amazon Park. It's on Geneva. It's very dynamic park. It has a football field, it has baseball fields, it has soccer fields, you can run, it has play structures, it has basketball courts. So it's just there. To me, it's like, yeah, you could bring any ball you have in your trunk and you could basically play any sport out there. But yeah, it's fun because that's where I also did a lot of like my high school like playing time. We didn't really have an outdoor field, and so that's where we practiced a lot of times. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Crocker Amazon.
Great. Yeah, so wonderful to have those special sort of oases in the city. Frankly?
Mine would probably be the same. I live right next to it. Well, I moved here to San Francisco like about 5 years ago, and definitely the Crocker Amazon has been sort of a special spot to me just because like that's where I would go like mostly every day. I got to meet a lot of cool people. I love the sport of soccer. I still do. I don't play it as much, but I still love the sport. And hopefully, like when this whole pandemic just clears up, I'll be able to go back. You know, yeah, I really miss it, but it's yeah, I love the space.
Wonderful. Well, I think we're getting close to time. So I just want to say a sincere thank you to all of you for being here and for sharing your stories. It has just been so enlightening and really uplifting. I think in a time when we all really need to just hear positive stories, especially coming out from our parks. So I think we have some closing slides that'll come up. And so, I just want to say a huge thank you to our members who are here, who are making all of this possible. And just a reminder, this is, as was mentioned earlier, the 20th anniversary of Crissy Field and the Crissy Field Center. So we have this incredible opportunity made possible by the Evelyn and Walter Haas Jr. Fund, where all gifts made in May will be matched. So if you're thinking about renewing your membership or making an additional gift, now is the time to do it. Thank you so much. We will see you at the next event, which will likely be sort of towards the end of the summer in the fall. Thank you.